Whirlwind is the map, and at the bottom left we have in red the player for Slayers. It is
Slayers Ryung.
Slayers Ryung. He already played against, well, he won against Supernova, lost against Sirius, and lost against Seed. 2 games. He needs to win now. He needs to win against his fellow Terran player. At the top right, the Casper Terran. It is
KT Flash.
Representing Korea Telecom here.
Won against Seed and Sirius. But Supernova defeated him in a Terran versus Terran.
Flash has never dyed his hair in a way that wasn't subtle. Have you noticed that?
No. You didn't really expect a yes.
No,
did you?
I didn't expect it. I don't know if you noticed. Looks like we may have Commander first for both these players. You know, I've been thinking about actually dyeing my hair dark black, and once I saw Seed, I'm like, maybe. But you know what they say about, you know, going black?
No.
It's that if you have a pale complexion, your face is going to look a little bit brighter when you have dark hair. So,
didn't you say the last time that you are thinking about dyeing your hair blue?
Well, you know, I'm always thinking about this, but you know, I thought about having this thing where I had people vote whether I should dye my hair red or blue.
Come on, we'll throw some balls and go for blue. What about green? Pink?
Green is out. Green is out off the table. Green is no. But red or blue, that's something I can think about. Like these 2 players, Ryung is red and Flash is blue. Those are 2 colors that would be acceptable. That's why they're chosen here for our display. They're both going for the exact same builds, double barracks, not being too greedy.
If you go for red, you look like a match.
I guess so, yeah. I see what you mean.
I would probably just set you on fire at some point. That would be funny. I can picture that. Brilliant pictures in my mind. My head is a fun place, guys.
What about Torch? Torch is a natural redhead.
Yeah, well, that's where the nickname comes from, I guess.
I guess so. He doesn't, I don't know if I would say he looks like a match, though.
No, he's too short.
Yeah. I hope he's listening.
I hope so too. In the game itself, guys, not a lot of things are happening here. We don't see gas for either one of those players. We are on a huge map. We are on Whirlwind. We have cross positions. And therefore, both are just macroing it up. No gas, no aggression. Both of them starting with the early expansion and heading into the macro game.
The SCV here will be shut down if he micros correctly. He doesn't see it in time. Gonna see the command center, I'm pretty sure. That's what the observer is checking right now. He's trying to subtly do it before he checks the vision. But actually, no, he did not see the command center. And in fact, Flash did, but Ryung did not. Ryung does not know.
Yep. Ryung has no clue here. Still,
Flash has taken a 3rd command center.
Yeah, and the first gas that we have is for Ryung. Flash still doesn't have gas because of the 3rd command center. Yeah, that's exactly the reason.
By the way, did you play through Pokemon?
Excuse me?
Did you play through Pokemon, the game?
No.
No? I was going to ask if you played through blue version or red version first. Well, now I can't ask that question.
I didn't play Pokemon. That wasn't released for PC, right? Only Game Boy? Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, only for Game Boy. There was even a logo on the box that said only for Game Boy, if I'm not mistaken. But, we have Ryung now with the gas that he's taken, not going for factory tech right away, but going for double eBay, so we'll be getting those upgrades out very quick. And on a big map like this, and with a game that will likely go as long as this one might go, that's going to be a really good investment. But the same can be said of Flash's command center. If he gets the gases at that command center pretty quick, then he'll be able to pull ahead. But in TVT, just having the extra SCVs alone is not really going to be all too useful early on, I feel. I like what Ryung is doing a lot better. I think that for the longevity of this, and on this map specifically, it's going to be much better to get those upgrades out earlier.
Well, right now, yeah, I feel if you get the upgrades out a lot earlier and you are able to just continue being in an advantage in the upgrades, that will definitely give you an edge later on. Because as soon as the siege tanks are out, it doesn't really, well, you can be a lot more aggressive then.
Yeah, in TVT, gas is so much more important than minerals. And this is actually normally the case in all mirror matchups. But in this case. I feel that if your opponent has the better tech, not only is going to be able to take better engagements and more siege tanks, for example, but if he has better upgrades on those Marines, then those are the most critical units. And if you have the extra orbital, you don't have enough extra income at that moment to actually add a ton of barracks at once and still afford them.
You know, we talked a bit more about the situation in the group. You know what's really interesting so far? The most interesting part is that Ryung, he lost only to Sirius and Seed. These are the last two players that are playing. And if you just think about that, let's just say Seed wins this game, the last one, then he will take the top position in the group with a 3-1. If Ryung now wins against Flash, Ryung will tie with Flash and Supernova, but he defeated both of them. He only lost against the players that we have in last round, so if Ryung wins here and Sirius loses to Seed, Ryung is going to advance with Seed and Flash is out. So it's gonna be really, really tricky. Flash, if he wants to go to gas, he has to really win this game. Everything else would be taking too much of a risk.
Yeah.
It makes these last games in every single up and down group just so exciting. It's not only about the matches that you see on screen. If you take them out of context and watch them, sometimes they are not as exciting, but this adds up a lot of spice in my opinion. It's just brilliant to see, and it also explains sometimes for a lot of the decisions that players make if they seem a little bit timid, but if you then think about the situation they are facing, it makes such perfect sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to take a huge risk if you know that your tournament life is going to depend on it.
This is the moment, by the way, that I was talking about with upgrades that you mentioned briefly as well, is when the 2-2 starts for Ryung. He's got an upgrade advantage, and he's going to continue to pull those ahead. If any battle happens during this moment, then Ryung is going to take it, as long as he doesn't, A move, or right-click move, or forgets to stem, or something like that. He's just going to take it. Now he can take his command center a little bit later, so Flash has a lot of extra mineral income here, but he hasn't really been able to capitalize on it too much. Right now he only has 3 more Marines than Ryung, and Ryung has added the reactors right now as well. So this is a really similar situation, but the upgrades I feel on this map are so much more important. Flash is on the other side of the map, now thinking about moving out and being aggressive with his Marines, but he doesn't have the Marine count to do so just yet. Both of them have started siege tank production. Flash, on the other hand, is ahead with that. His second siege tank is out, so that's one advantage he has over his opponent that he may be able to use in the battle, even if he's down on upgrades.
Now, Flash was hitting those SCVs also a lot better than his opponent, which explains the lead that he has. 10 workers ahead of Ryung, who still produces SCVs, whereas Flash stopped at 65. Is now just focusing on the army and on his upgrades, which is where Ryung has the advantage at the upgrades. So currently,
spots that depot, and the depot spots the drop. So that's the Korean casters thought that was pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that's pretty common. In fact, that's what the depot's for.
There was he scouted the drop pretty early.
Drop kills one SCV, which is the building depot SCV. Now, additional factors are being added for both players. Flash getting his a little bit earlier. Again, just Flash being faster with his siege mode as well. 2-2 is about to finish, but it's not done yet.
Yeah, the macro for Flash just in general is a little bit better here, which also explains for the advantage that he has in overall supply. He's nearly 15 to 20 ahead of his opponent now, which is mostly in army supply with 93 against 75.
Yeah. It's all about the siege tanks. He's 4-1 right now. They both have the same amount of Marines. And that drop is going to become a problem again for Flash. He actually has to turn around here. One depot goes down. He will be able to get the second depot as well. Flash decides not to turn around. He knows it's not too big of a problem. Now the upgrades are done for Ryung. This is so important. This is what I talked about earlier, and he is going to crush this army. Look at how much of a difference it makes when you have this many Marines. You have 50 Marines. That means 50 times the difference.
Wow. He completely crushed this force. The upgrades, the deciding factor here, but suddenly Ryung takes a huge advantage in this game. He's now 15 supply ahead of his opponent, even dropping into the main base now with another drop. Ryung takes a 4th base. He is just gaining so much momentum. He's moving in, trying to put aggression onto the 3rd base, and in the main, the armory, it dies. He kills the armory is dead.
That means Flash can't get 3-3 right now, whereas Ryung could start it if he wanted to.
Exactly.
And he's just going to run right into the siege tank and kill it.
Takes the siege tank down there, 2 more left.
Be careful. This time he doesn't have an upgrade advantage. He still has so many Marines, though.
He could move to the natural. I don't think there's a siege tank at the natural.
Yeah, I think you're right. Oh, there's just one
Yeah.
just finished sieging.
And he has another one that just popped out of the factory. So now he goes for a little bit of a contain in the main base. We still saw the drop killing a few units, but now the medivac is being taken out. Oh, not quite. Escapes. +3 attack has been started. That's something that Flash cannot get for a long time.
When you have 50 Marines on the map, and your opponent has 50 Marines on the map, you have 50 times the upgrade advantage over your opponent. You just do. The more units are on the field that have that upgrade, the better off you're going to be. And Flash, I feel, when he decided to take that engagement, did not check his opponent's upgrades, because I think if he had known, he would not have engaged like that. And that's the value that I talked about earlier of getting the E-base instead of the fast third command center. Minerals are not as important as gas.
Do you know how crazy the upgrade lead is going to get for Ryung if he is able to get this +3/+3 before the next big engagement? Flash, he is waiting for an eternity now. He has to wait for the armory and then he can start his upgrades. This is going to be brutal for the next few engagements. This is exactly what you already said earlier. This situation where you have better upgrades over your opponent and a massive amount of Marines. That could happen again. Exactly the same thing. Right now they are on even upgrades, but that's not going to last.
I really like the sensor tower by Ryung. He puts it way away from his base because he knows that Flash is so much so on the defensive right now, it may not even matter to be... Well, hold that thought. Flash has a better Marine count here, and the tanks were a little bit late on the siege. This is going to be a really good engagement for the KT player. Dropping the main base again, though. He may be able to get that armory one more time. I don't think so. Well, if he targets it...
If he targets it, he can kill it, and +3/+3 has not been started. He needs to target it though, but he doesn't. He's focusing on the Marines now in the main base at the bottom left of Ryung. There are also a few units of Flash trying to do damage.
The armory is burning down, and he's not targeting.
He's just gonna kill it.
It's just gonna burn, it looks like. Meanwhile, the drop is cleaned up in the armory.
I cannot believe that he did not kill the armory.
It's hard to believe. He doesn't know, though, if Flash even started the 3-3, so I guess that's one thing, but he also is going to want the siege tank upgrades for later anyways.
It had 40 hit points. What harm could it do just to take down...
Yeah, that was a little bit weird. I mean, he was very concerned about the drop in his main base.
You're right, of course. He didn't know about it. He hadn't the information, but if it's already down at 40 hit points, just target it once more. If you lose the Marine, whatever. That's 50 minerals. But
3-3 is not done for Ryung, but he still takes this fight.
And he's backing off, forcing Flash into the siege tank range of the siege tanks at the back, but Flash is taking this army down. 3-3 still not done, and Flash is on the move.
He's moving in, taking out a lot of siege tanks. Ryung should have waited for those upgrades. He's about to have them. He needs to send these Marines down now. He's stimming them. He's running long distance. Will he be able to get there in time? It's going to be close. Looks like the answer is yes.
+3 attack is done for Ryung, and he's dropping again. He's dropping the third of Flash, and his armor upgrade is nearly completed. Here comes the fight, and he can take it. The armor upgrade is done. He lifts the orbital, but now he can take the fight with the upgrade advantage that he has, and he takes it. He goes in with the SCVs, with the Marines, and Flash is dropping his supply so fast.
Dropping his supply so fast. Now Ryung can take out those siege tanks. The drop at his third is cleaned up. I don't know if I would run into these siege tanks like this, but he's so ahead that he just goes for it. He's got that 3-3. Takes out the siege tanks, takes the 30 supply lead. Flash is in a lot of trouble. He lost a lot of harvesters to that drop as well. It's 65 to 56 right now.
And the tank count is the big story here. 5 against 1.
3 at a time being built with all the bank that he has. Look at the gas, 1,500. Flash has 1,200 gas, but he doesn't have the minerals anymore.
And it's going to take still a long time for Flash to complete +3/+3. It could have been even worse if Ryung would have taken down the armory earlier. But the lead that the Slayer's Terran has in this game is really significant. Flash trying to drop right now. He's trying to go for drop play, but Ryung already preparing with another sensor turret. He knows about the good position he's in. And also very important here, the siege tank upgrades are much better for Ryung. With the armory, we're losing the armory over and over again. Flash was not able to get the +1 attack upgrade earlier. Now we have him researching it, but Ryung is on his way to get +2.
Now, this drop is going to be very devastating as well. He could even get the orbital. Well, he's not going to go for it. He decides to pull out. He's going to go to another drop location. This is something that Flash started preparing for, but this is positional because now Ryung takes control of the watchtower.
At the left side of the map, we have the drop at the 4th.
And he actually just runs away.
Yeah,
has planetary.
Against the planetary, it was not enough. Flash completing +3/+3 on even upgrades with his opponent, but 30 supply behind.
And his economy is just not where Ryung's is right now. He's got the better mule count at this very moment, but with all the drops that Ryung has put on, he's 20 harvesters ahead, and he's forced so much lost mining time.
Which also means that the army supply is even.
Yes.
Army supplies even, and currently they are in exactly the same upgrades. 1 for the siege tanks, +1 attack, and +3/+3 for the Marines.
Ryung's +2 for siege tank, as you mentioned earlier, though, is going to be done a lot faster. Flash still down on siege tanks. He just has a slightly better Marine count. And this allows Ryung to be a little bit more positional with the beefy siege tank count that he has. He wants to cut these units off here and then come in for another angle to a command center that doesn't exist, that he actually predicts may exist. He's got to be careful against this force, though. Was not paying attention, loses a lot of Marines for free.
Well, he just kills the sensor turret. That's the one thing that he wants to accomplish, so that Flash doesn't know where he's positioned. And the bank is pretty crazy for Ryung. He's just gaining this bank where he has now 2,000 minerals and gas. Also, the additional command center that he's currently producing that he can then land at the right side of his main base.
And, oh, this is a great position by Flash. He's got units coming in from 3 sides.
The siege tanks need to be careful here. Oh, Ryung! And Flash from every angle! Ryung's commander is surrounded. That's brilliant. We can attack in any direction. Well, guess what? It's not.
Oh, yeah, that was not good for Ryung. He's still remaxing very quickly, but Flash has a moment here where he can take out this base, most likely. Another drop for Ryung is completely shut down. He's losing units. His army is just not together. He pulls out. Flash is like, all right, well, I didn't even have to fight here. It's already accomplished what I wanted it to do. You're not mining from that base anymore.
That engagement was just beautiful.
It really was.
That was beautiful. That was brilliant from every angle possible. He surrounds his opponent, and then he tightens the noose.
Ryung just did not have all of his units together, and Flash took that opportunity. Very opportunistic, but very smart. One more siege tank might get out of that factory before it has to be lifted. Ryung has another large force going to the 3rd base of Flash. There's not enough units to defend.
Oh, wow. Flash is moving in right now. The siege tank's in a good position here, taking a slight supply lead. 12 medivacs for Flash, doubling the medivac count of Ryung.
This drop to the right side is very distracting, but also he's got one coming to the north. He won't be able to defend both locations very easily.
A lot of aggression coming out of Ryung right now, trying to go for these run-bys. He takes down 2 siege tanks, and he can still head into the economy at the 3rd base. He's a little bit out of position with these units, though.
Yeah, he's a little bit more worried about his own economy since he still isn't mining from that one base. 2 more siege tanks for Flash are going to walk into trouble. Flash cannot afford to keep throwing these siege tanks away.
Yeah, he's losing both of them. And this siege tank count is at 6 to 8 now. Still sieged up, but now look at Ryung. He's just walking across the map, trying to cut off this army of Flash. And now here comes Ryung, trying to get into position, forcing Flash to siege up again.
He's fighting with the better Marine count, but he can't walk into the tanks. Really nice positional play here. He needs to get back to his siege tanks, though. He has to fight together. This has been his problem in some of these engagements in this game, is just not having his army together. I don't think this is a good choice. He's fighting without siege tank support.
Oh my god, here comes the rest of Ryung's army taking apart the tanks of Flash. Flash drops in supply, but Ryung does too. The medivacs that we currently see for Flash, they are making up a lot of the supply that he has on the other hand.
Yeah, that's so true. That's part of the reason why he wasn't able to kill that army. But at the same time, his medivacs survive. They're going to be able to heal the rest of the Marines he's making, so he doesn't lose that investment into those gas-heavy medivacs. He has to lift here before the planetary is done and pull his SCVs away. What a tense game right now.
It's 14 medivacs against 2. The army supply, if you look at it, is 90 for Flash and 69 for Ryung. But those medivacs, of course, they cannot do damage.
Take away 26 of those supply in the medivacs, and they're basically dead even.
In the fight, yeah. After the fight, of course, the medivacs are in the fight as well. Have a great role to play, but still, without units that to heal, it's pretty difficult. Flash right now has, on the other hand, 56 Marines. So with this many Marines, the medivacs are brilliant for him. But yeah, Ryung's problem is that he has too many SCVs in comparison to Flash.
He needs to get his command centers back up. He needs to maybe send this command center to the north, or at the very least deal with that one Marine that's denying him mining, because Flash has got the better economy right now set up.
That game just doesn't end, does it? Every single time we have a comeback, 26 to 28,000 resources lost. Both of them back and forth, playing the entire map, everywhere in Whirlwind. Small fights, battles, run-bys, drops, engagements with the main army. And of course expansions as well. This game is getting a little bit insane here. They are dead even on supply.
Flash is out of position to defend his base to the north. There's only 3 Marines there, and here comes Ryung. Darts in, takes out the Marines, wants to get the orbital, and I don't think he can get it even with +3. Flash doesn't actually send his units back though, so he will get it.
Yeah, the orbital is going to be destroyed.
It's gone. Ryung turns back. He's taken the supply lead here just slightly. He's loosened up the pressure, is what I meant to say there. He's got that command center going to the north that I was talking about earlier on.
There's still a drop that is not being used by a Flash. Ryung about to be maxed out in army, and in the middle of the map at the Xel'Naga Watchtower, a potential engagement. The two Marines that held the Xel'Naga Watchtower are not the happiest Marines there. Not really lucky.
It's hard to get into that no man's zone in between the line of sight blocker where a watchtower is. You want to control it, but it's hard to go in there without knowing. Ryung is actually going for a drop right around the north of this army. He's just going to fly it in. He looks like he wants to drop on siege tanks. With that many Marines, though, I don't know how much I like that. Yeah, he doesn't even do it. He's like, well, it's not quite going to work like that.
No, that would be suicidal. And now we have additional bases for Ryung. He has more command centers that he can use.
He's making another factory. Look at the bank for Ryung versus Flash. Flash is really struggling to make units right now.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have his final depot.
We had the same situation already a few minutes ago, and then Flash had this one beautiful engagement that enabled him to get even.
He's way out of position. All of his units, all of his Marines are away from the siege tanks. Ryung is going to take a critical engagement here.
Oh god, he lost so much. The siege tank count now is 2 against 9 in favor of Ryung.
Take some more shots on those Marines as well. Flash has these units going around the south, but there's so many different buffers to stop him and slow him down so that Ryung can get back to defend.
Ryung has units everywhere. He knows exactly about the positioning of Flash. He sees the movement of Flash's army and he can react to it in time. That's his strength now. At the left side of the map, we have an additional base for Ryung, where Flash has expanded at the top. What a doom drop.
Marine King has nothing on this drop, man. This drop is 10 medevacs full of units. He just dropped a few of them out. He's just going to go right for the main. There's not enough turrets, but there are some Marines, and he decides no.
Yeah, with a stim, the Marines with the stim and double missile turret, that saves him. Ryung is, at this point, Ryung is sitting in his booth, is looking at the turrets and the Marines. He's like, thank God that I built those.
Well, now he's going in after part of Flash's reinforcements. Flash's army is so awkward right now. It's in the middle of the map. What does he do with it? Does he go for a counterattack? Does he try to reunite? He's going to walk into some siege tanks here. Ryung turns around. He's going to catch these Marines, but some of the siege tanks were lost. These medevacs are so important right now for Flash.
Indeed they are, but now Ryung can just rebuild his army and Flash cannot. That is his biggest problem. The army supply is still in favor of Flash because he does not have this many SCVs.
He needs to siege up some of these tanks. He wants to catch Flash's army. One tank sieges up. Going to buy him a little bit more time. The medevacs, if he can kill those, he'll be in a great spot.
He sandwiches Flash here. Ryung is dropping in supply, though. Everywhere there come reinforcements, and now suddenly those medevacs are exposed. He's getting a few of them. He's taking down one, taking down another one. He can't kill him.
He's going to get him. He needs to stim again.
Yes, and there it is. Takes down another 2. Sieges up with the siege tanks. Flash is starting to fall apart a little bit.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the economy. Even though he killed that base, he has not been able to deal with Ryung's 2 planetaries on the left side, where he's mining basically only minerals, no refineries there. He's got his SCVs transferred over. Even though he killed that orbital, he didn't kill the SCVs, and there were like 30 SCVs to be killed there.
Yeah, the production is just so much better for Ryung thanks to his economy.
And Flash is starting to remake SCVs. I feel he realizes that the problem for him here is just his economy. Made 3 more. That's it, though.
We have 4 medevacs against 5. Now the medevac count completely evened out, which also means that Flash has to be a lot more careful with his stims.
Yeah. He was basically able to stim wherever he wanted to earlier, but now that's not the case. This is a very stylistic choice. We've seen Flash and some other custom players do.
Great, that's exactly what he needs.
This is going to kill some of these SCVs, and it's going to force them off the line. He can actually just target them.
Every SCV here counts, and that's exactly what he does. He only starts to target down SCVs, and this was beautiful.
65 to 35 right now in Ryung's favor. And Ryung is basically just in the position now to cut off some of Flash's armies. The Flash's army is getting small enough to where he doesn't really have to worry about counterattacks.
And if you look at the minimap, there are everywhere there are units for Ryung. He has a Marine in every single position, at every ramp, at every expansion. He wants to make sure that Flash does not surprise him. And Ryung just plays such a great game here. This is a really awesome TVT that we are witnessing right now. Both players very positional. Every single mistake that you make or every position that you're forced in can be your last stand. It's really, really awesome. Flash, this drop with the 10 medevacs, this could have killed Ryung. If not for those 2 missile turrets and the Marines, the entire production of Ryung would have just died.
Yeah. The extra command centers Ryung is adding is going to help him further his bank. He is at 2,000 or 200, and about to be at 2,000 as far as resources go.
And he's getting additional command centers. Then he will be able to use the mules. He will also be able to use additional scans. These are things that Flash just simply cannot afford.
You know, I talked about how Ryung was calm and collected. Right now, I feel like he may be too much so. He's giving Flash a lot of time. He's not really attacking in a straight-up fight. Now he will. Uh-oh, a nice split here for Ryung, and Flash cannot fight that.
Resources lost in this game, 34,000 for Ryung and 39,000 for Flash.
The army supply is significantly in Flash's favor, up by 30 because of those harvesters.
Yeah, look at his marine count, 125 marines for Flash. And here comes the stem. Once again,
this is his
Flash
one moment.
sandwich.
This is his moment here. He's got the better marine count, and he surrounds Ryung again. This is really still a close game as far as supply goes, but Flash has the better army a little bit longer here.
80 supply, 80 army supply against 60, but now Ryung starts to rebuild his entire army.
Ryung needs more production, though.
Flash needs to attack now. He's now at a point where he really has to start to overwhelm his opponent because he does not have the resources. But the reinforcements for Ryung are streaming in, and he's closing the supply gap fast.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to keep this base to the south, but the bases to the north, which are much more important at this point, will survive. And he lifts. He lifts and gets out. All he's going to lose here is a small group of Marines and a sensor tower.
44,000 resource lost against 41,000. The army supply, 80 for Ryung now, 100 for Flash, and Ryung with the much better production. He produces 3 siege tanks at a time, 2 medivacs, gets 12 Marines with every single production cycle. He will catch up with Flash in no time, even if he's now ahead in supply once again.
These SCVs do get taken out, but it's not too significant. Ryung just is making more and more tanks. Flash is not, and there will come a time where Ryung has too many siege tanks. Flash can't deal with it. He's going to go for this planetary, but there's a siege tank and an SCV repair. This is not too much.
He loses way too much here. This base can still, he can repair it. And now the Marines are streaming in. Flash is caught between a planetary and this army. Ryung does so much damage, takes down the siege tanks, takes down the Marines. And it looks like Flash might just be able to push it back. But even if he does not have any money left.
Ryung, though, is now out of money as well. That repair cost him a lot. He's not mining from the base to the top right. The base to the 9 o'clock is mined out as well. Both of these players are in an economic crisis right now. Flash was able to secure that base to the top left.
Yeah, Ryung has still some production going for him, and he's going to take a significant lead here. With army supply, is already at 80 to 66, and he still has those command centers. He's flying one to the bottom right now. He has the planetary to the top left.
Oh, these medevacs are way out of position for Flash. He loses 4 of them.
Ryung is now getting farther and farther ahead in the game.
Flash, he had some moments here where it looked like maybe he could just take that one advantage and push the game back. But on a map like this, it's so hard to do that. It's so big. You have so much time to remax.
This is just an awesome game. A brilliant Terran versus Terran. 40 minutes, full of action, full of comebacks, back and forth, taking a supply lead. Great positions by Flash. The engagements in the middle of the map by Flash were so awesome. Every single time he sandwiched Ryung. That one time when he completely surrounded him, that was just beautiful. That was art.
It was. It was, man. And now Ryung is in this position where he needs to catch Flash's army just once. This is basically him hunting a fugitive right now, and that fugitive is Flash's army. If he catches it, then the game ends. All that Flash has is this mobile army, very marine heavy, but he doesn't have the marine advantage anymore. He doesn't have the siege tank advantage.
Top left, another base. Flash still doesn't give up though, and he shouldn't. He still has mining going on at the top of the map, and he's trying to get another orbital command into position, but it's going to be very difficult for him to pull it off. Ryung is now in pursuit, is trying to end this game. He has a 20 supply advantage, and in army supply, well, they are even.
Yeah.
It comes down to the position once again, to the engagements that we have. Flash is definitely not out of it.
This game is so intense.
It's crazy, isn't it?
This game is just, it's watching players play hide and seek with buildings, armies.
Hide and seek with command centers, you're right.
I mean, we're literally watching players try to scan, find out where each other are, get the bases up, and it's a game of hide and seek with machine guns and tank shells.
The next command center orbital for Flash at the top of the map is now in position, so he can catch up in income a little bit. So far, Ryung was mining from 2 bases, whereas Flash had only had 1.
Well, Flash has no defense set up for the second wave of Ryung's army that's going around to sneak up on his command center.
Yeah, Ryung is definitely dictating the pace of the game. Flash still has a shot here, but still now Marines once more sneaking into the mineral lines, forcing SCVs off the line and forcing Flash out of position.
I feel like he could have done this a little bit better. He didn't send enough units over there. Now he's got Flash's army kind of caught up at the top of this ramp with his better siege tank count. Flash can't attack into this. And Ryung now is kind of pushed Flash's army up to the top left. Now he's going to use the rest of his army to try to find weak points, to try to find Flash's other army, which he knows is somewhere around the other side of the map, and he's about to run into it.
Look at these army movements. This is such an awesome game. This is just beautiful. Ryung now at 200 supply, and now he's starting taking down those 2 tanks, but there might be too many Marines. This is going to be so close.
The medevac count is so critical here.
Yeah.
Ryung has too many.
Yeah, Ryung has the medevacs to heal his army. It was a close fight, but Ryung wins it. Flash now down 30 supply in army supply. He is 20 supply behind his opponent.
And he's trapped with half of his army up at the top left. See these tanks and these Marines here? He can't really move them because Ryung has such a nice position with his siege tanks. He's totally isolated here. The second army is found again.
Nice, he even kills this run by. Now we have another engagement in the middle of the map. The medevac count is once again the deciding factor. He takes down Flash's medevacs, and Flash now 40 supply behind his opponent is trying to survive here, but the game changed a little bit. Earlier it was mostly Flash who was trying to be aggressive. Now it is Ryung. And he still has units at the bottom of the map to wait for run-bys. Flash is trying to set another task force over there to take down the base of Ryung, but it's not going to work. And at the same time, the Slayers player is chasing Flash back over and over again.
Yep, he is totally ready here with his Marines as well to the south. He cleans up that last little scouting army. Now he's going to go to the core here. Takes out one of Flash's only 2 mining bases. Very easily, totally uncontested. Every single SCV dies, not a single one escapes.
And this looks like it is it. Even Legend had problems keeping up with all this action on the map, but now we have a 70 supply lead for Ryung. He's getting the +3 attack upgrade for his siege tanks.
There's one more group of units for Flash to the south, and as soon as Ryung kills it, the game will end. It looks like he may do so just now. There's a flag. GG!
Flash on 2-2, Ryung on 2-2. Ryung takes the game. Oh my god. What a match. If Seed wins now, Seed and Ryung advance.
If he loses,
we have a 5-way tie.
If he loses, I will be so shocked. It's possible. There's Supernova here. He's hoping for that loss.
Yeah, he's hoping for Seed to lose.
It's like Supernova is behind in this group, and everything hinges on this crazy scenario of coincidences that occur to build this statue that is the 5-way tie, and he is one building block away from having that moment where he can actually just start over fresh here in the group.
No, for Supernova, this was awesome. That was exactly what he needed, but he needs 2
He needs
outcomes.
one more,
Exactly. He needs 1 more right now, and that would just be crazy. I'm looking at my sheet and I'm like, what? Did that really happen? Flash with a 2-2. Okay, Flash, he lost to Ryung. He won again. He lost to Ryung. He lost against Supernova. He won against Seed and Sirius. On the other hand, we have Ryung winning against Flash and Supernova. So both matches against the Terran players, and losing to Sirius and Seed, the next 2 players. Sirius has to win. Sirius has to win against Seed now, and then we have all the players on 2 wins, 2 losses, and the things. I don't know what we're doing right now. If that actually. Does that trigger a 5-way tie and playing it all over again? I actually don't even know.
They may have like a sudden death type thing where if you lose, you're just out. You take 1 loss, and then if 3 people are.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not so sure actually.
What I'm sure of is that we have a break now. We have 1 game left. Maybe 1 game left, depending on the outcome.
Actually, I don't think we're gonna have a break.
We have. I asked.
Oh, but after you asked, I asked, and he told me that we weren't going to have a break.
Okay, now I'm confused.
I thought he told you also, but I guess he didn't.
He told me we're having a break.
No break.
Okay, no break. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Okay. No break.
Okay, so
you guys thought you were going to calm down. You thought you had some time to think, but it's not true.
So, thank you, Jay, for making me look silly.
Well, I actually told him it's actually my fault. It's my fault, Keller, because he told me.
It's your fault?
He told me, and I said I'd tell you. Then I saw him walk towards you, so I thought he was also going to tell you. But because I said that I would tell you, then I suppose he didn't tell you. I went and got a coffee, and now you didn't know.
Huh?
I solved everything. It's my fault. I'm sorry.
Okay, I can live with that.
But
Seed against Sirius, guys. This time, no Terran. Protoss against Zerg. The map is Daybreak. Beautiful map to decide things here, but yeah, now things are getting crazy. What happens is, if Seed wins this game, he has 3 wins and 1 loss, will advance straight to Code S. And because we have Supernova, Ryung and Flash tied, Sirius, of course, will be out. He will be in Code A because he has 3 losses and only 1 win. But we have the 3 Terran players tied. And in this situation, it comes down to the direct comparison between all of them. And Ryung is the one who won every single TVT. He won against Supernova and he won against Flash. Because of this, he would advance together with Seed. That's the situation right now in the group. It's a little bit complicated today. It was actually complicated every single day of the week so far. We didn't really have like this one group that was decided in the blink of an eye. But yeah, because of this situation as we have it right now, it's pretty complicated. The thing is, Seed wins, then Seed and Ryung are going to advance. If Sirius wins, they will all be tied.
I don't think that's ever happened before. Every player in a 5-person group is tied. I don't think that's ever happened in GSL before. I can't think of a time. And we have had a lot of groups in the past.
Yeah, there they are. Seed, he knows that he has the chance to go to KS right now. And of course, Ryung, we have basically now on those benches, we have on the one hand, we have Supernova sitting there. I don't know where Flash is, but he should sit right next to Supernova, in my opinion, and both of them just praying for Sirius to win. Whereas on the other bench, we should have just now sitting Ryung, and yeah. I'm getting all confused here. I just want to go and cast this game. Zerg versus Protoss on Daybreak. GSL up and downs. Seed